Oh yeah, good people. Hey, look who back. Oh Lord, look at what she doing, everybody. Man, y'all see who I got with me, man. Welcome back. Welcome
Hey.
back. We are sorry for the delay. We heard the messages. I got cursed out yesterday. And we were so this was already in the works, everybody, but things happen. But we back. Y'all see who I got with me, man. I got my dog, Wendy Golston. What up, Wendy?
Hey. Happy
Welcome back.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Happy Love Day. Happy
Love
Love Day,
Day. Let's go
everybody.
with love. I like love better.
Yeah,
Okay.
spread love,
Red
everybody.
love is the Brooklyn way.
Right. Shout out to Biggie. I tell y'all all the time, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But
That's sweet.
that's neither
We
here
love
nor
you
there.
all. We love you all.
Yeah. You know how that go. So recruiting 101, the process, y'all know what we do, man. And it's funny. So again, we're sorry that it took us so long to come back, but we are back. A lot of crazy conversation, Wendy. Wendy been getting beat up about it. I've been getting beat up about it. And it's the climate is so crazy out here, Wendy.
It is.
Especially, and the class of 2021. Listen, this is like the first time that we've had anything like this, Wendy. From an 80 perspective, just talk about what this year was like for the fall sports, especially.
So it was really difficult. I would say not even more difficult, I would say stressful because, with all the new protocols that we have in place and just trying to ensure the safety of not only our athletes, but also the coaches as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then reaching out to their families because anything that happens to them at the school could happen in their homes as well, or it could have come from their homes back into the school.
Right.
So, it was just very stressful. I was very lucky, but many schools were not, and many ADs and coaches were not. I mean, some coaches lost their lives, and so it has been very, very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is not over. That's the bad part. It's not over. I mean, we're still going through these protocols, taking temperatures every day, recording answers to about 10, 11 questions. Just to make sure that we're trying to keep everyone as safe. And then just think about all the reschedules on the games.
Right.
Basketball season has been crazy because we play so many.
Right.
And now even looking at baseball season, with the rain and COVID.
Yeah.
And doing reschedules. So it just gets crazy. Wrestling, a lot of kids did not wrestle this year.
Right, because of close contact. Yeah.
I mean, it's just really close contact, and it's not like you can really wrestle in a mask.
Right.
And you exert so much energy in a short period of time wrestling. So yeah, it's been crazy, very crazy.
So let me ask you this real quick: has it been a difference between because basketball, soccer, like more, not soccer, but like wrestling, because those are indoor sports? Has that been more of a challenge? Whereas football and baseball, any outside event, is it been kind of different, or what's been the difference?
Well, I would say for us, outside was a lot easier. We could accommodate more spectators. People want to see their student athletes,
right.
Families, especially those people who have seniors, and that may be the last time that they're going to be playing that sport.
Right.
And so outside was a little easier because you could accommodate more people. Whereas inside we were limited, at least we're in our county, we're limited to 2 spectators per student athlete. So you're looking at 2 for each side of the basketball bench, home and away. And then cheerleaders did not travel this year. They only cheered at home games. So it just made it difficult. And then, interestingly enough, I get my officials bill for basketball, and I'm like, I didn't even make this much on the gate this year.
Right.
No, so a lot of programs are probably going to be, using their reserves to pay for officials because they couldn't get the attendance on the tickets, that money. So.
Crazy. So we're talking the 2021 kids, and I think one of the things, like I say, you field a lot of calls. You're in the school system, so you're with it day to day. So many parents, 2021 kids were, signing day. early signing period and National Signing Day with a February date, it was such a challenge to a lot of kids because one, kids couldn't travel. A lot of the campuses were closed. So kids were making decisions blind. Just talk about this piece of it because this year more than any year, and maybe moving forward, I mean, we don't know how this pandemic will continue to affect everything, but just talk about the challenge with the 2021 kids, because boy, I was scared to answer the phone at one point.
Man, let me tell you, this challenge for 2021 has been so crazy. With them giving the NCAA, I shouldn't say them, the NCAA granting an extra year because of COVID, right?
Right.
And so now those kids that were on scholarships potentially keep their scholarships, right? If they choose to stay an extra year. Well, remember, the recruits, then the schools are looking for money to pay for them because the NCAA didn't do anything for that, right?
Right.
And so basically you have coaches going to their ADs and saying, hey, I still need to bring this kid in, right? And I need money for it.
Right.
And so I think typically in like a football and maybe a basketball, they make it happen, right? Because those are their revenue sports. But then you have to start looking at all these non-revenue sports that don't just make quite as much money. Say soccer. I have a soccer player in the class of 21. It has been a challenge. Minimal money. Thank God she's good at academics, but a lot of people, we're pushing her into January to go to school so that she can get the money after the season is over with, and those kids have decided to leave. So, I mean, just football, I've seen scholarships pulled. I know you read the articles too, Maceo. People pulling scholarships at the last minute because they just don't have the funds, especially a year where they did not make as much money to then now. I mean, unless you're like one of the larger Power 5 schools who has a lot of money, right?
Right.
You're in trouble trying to bring in these kids and trying to fund it because you're just not sure we don't know what 2021 season is going to bring right now for football.
Right.
They haven't told us. We don't know if those stadiums will be back at full capacity. And if they're not, then you're looking at these schools struggling yet again.
Right.
So what does that do for 2022 now?
Right. And I think what was so crazy about this and kind of what we're going to get into, because one of the things I was telling parents during the season, like I say, talked to a parent at length yesterday who yelled at you and I because we hadn't been provided this information. So, but just the basics of recruiting, and it always goes back to, are you taking care of all of your business? Are your grades in order? Do you have your film ready to go? Just so many other basic things that parents continue to wait to kids' senior season to get serious about this thing. And we've talked about it a million times, and we're going to talk about it a million more times. As soon as you hit them doors in the 9th grade, and if you have that mindset that you want to play past high school, you got to start getting your affairs order, because the most attractive kids who have everything in line, those are the kids who are going to, get that opportunity, whether it's limited, it's just so many factors, and so many kids and parents put themselves behind the 8 ball because they don't take this process serious enough until their senior season.
I agree, Maceo. If this was the year when you wanted to have everything in order, like from 9th grade, I mean, any slip meant it might not be an opportunity for you at the next level. And that's why we have always focused on making sure that we stress the importance of going into 9th grade strong.
Right.
You got to start strong, you need to finish strong.
Right.
And some of these kids whose parents and or them were more worried about playing time and things like that, and weren't as focused on their academics, now they're seeing why we have stressed academics so much. I mean, granted, they did waive SAT, ACT, right?
Right.
So you could get around that this year. But there's still some really good kids out there right now that have not committed to anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not to say that they won't.
Right.
Because remember, that's a signing day. It's the opening of a signing period.
Right.
So there's still some opportunities out there, but it does make you get nervous when that's what you have counted on all this time.
Yeah, and one of the things that I tried to impart on a few parents that coming around like October, November, I couldn't say enough. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because again, we talk about this all the time. Your coaching staffs, they're responsible for 20, 30, however many seniors are in their group, and they still have to do their job.
Yeah. As
a parent, your sole focus is your child.
Your child, one person.
Your child, and you can exhaust every avenue for your child to get this get this stuff done. And it's so many times, I go back and forth about this all the time because as a coach, I know what I did for my kids.
Right.
But I also, you have to be real with them. And a lot of kids this year, you couldn't stress to them enough. Like, so if you hadn't been getting recruited up until like this point, and you hadn't been making contacts, you hadn't been doing those little things behind the scene, it's gonna be almost impossible because we have to forget that you can't worry about what that kid if the 5-star kids, the highly rated kids, they don't have nothing to worry about. But that's not all. The majority of our kids are gonna have to claw, scratch for any little thing they get.
Yeah, Kevin Foster just said, the first semester of 9th grade is a death sentence for a lot of kids. And it is. I mean, they move from like being escorted to, class and to the cafeteria to just having all the freedom in the world. And some kids can take it. And then think like this year, 9th grade students, we're in this pandemic. You have kids at home.
Right.
And, so, one of my kids is at home and 2 of mine go to school.
Right.
And so I, and I listen to people talk about, well, my kid's not doing as well as home. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to help them prepare for the work at home? If they're going to be at home, like, what are you as a parent doing to help them focus, concentrate? Have you set up an area for where they just go and do their work only? Like, what have you put in place? Because I think it's more than just saying, oh, my kid is going to stay at home and do this work because we don't want to get COVID.
Right.
That's not the answer. I think that has to be so much more to that. And it does take a special kind of kid to work from home. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Everybody is not that kid. And so if you know that you don't have that kid, you might have to send your kid to school. If the school is open, you might need to send your kid to school. Or as a parent, unfortunately, if your kid cannot stay on top of it, you're going to have to assist them with staying on top of it. Again, 9th grade, these 9th graders, they're going to come into a 10th grade year, never really going to school, going to high school.
Right.
That's what's going to be crazy.
Right. And to Coach's point about that death sentence, it's easier to start out fast and then kind of, as you get older, kind of put it in cruise control just a little bit as you get into your senior year. But if you start out behind the 8 ball,
you fighting the whole time.
You're probably gonna be fighting all the way till you get out of there.
Exactly.
And I don't think people understand. Like, we're talking about every kid in America that these schools are targeting. So you just can't have your mind thinking that, oh yeah, I'm just going here. Well, that school that you're talking about you going to, they're looking at 100, 200, 300 plus kids. So what is it about you that stands out? It's so easy to eliminate kids. And one of the first things they do to eliminate kids, their grades. That takes a lot of kids just off the map right there.
Yeah. As parents, we just, and I hate to say it, as a parent, you can't start this in 9th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, this should have started like day 1 in school. Like when they start going to school, you had to put, as a parent or a guardian, you had to put a focus on what education means in your family.
Off the
off the rip. And so that you're not getting to the point of ninth grade and now having to try and make all these adjustments.
Right.
You have a kid that you never said anything to them about their grades. Whatever they brought home was okay. And I'm not saying everybody's a straight A student. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is encouraging your kids to always do their best. Right.
Right.
Because we're going to encourage them to do their best on the field, right? As a parent, we want them to get the most playing time. So we're going to push. So now can we push in the other category as well? And that is what's going to make the difference. And remember, we've always said, Maceo, what you do in your classroom is a direct reflection of what you're capable of doing on the field.
Oh, no doubt.
If you can't learn some of your schoolwork, you definitely can't learn plays. Like there has to be some correlation at some point, right?
I'm going to tell you what's crazy. Terrence, well, let me pull this up right quick. Terrence Edwards, he where is this tweet? But he here we go right here. And this is gospel, everybody. This is gospel. If your coach can't trust your effort in the weight room, in the classroom, and at practice, how can you be trusted to play in a game?
Yeah,
and sure. we've talked about this so many times. As a coach, I always talk about how the classroom is an extension of the field.
Yeah.
Because the field is another classroom.
Yes.
If you're not a good student, I don't care how athletic you are, it's gonna be something you're not gonna be able to remember plays. You're gonna have lapse in judgment. If you're a problem child in the building, you're gonna be a problem child on the field.
For sure.
You're gonna be that kid that's gonna get us a 15-yard penalty. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be that guy, and as you progress to each level, they weed those guys out so fast. Like, what is your discipline like? Because like you have to be a self-motivated type person, because as you go from high school to college, well, when you went from the park to middle school to high school, man, what? It's every level. It requires a different version of yourself, and you have to. If you're not self motivated, you in trouble.
Right. You know what I told you too. This is and this is kind of what I came up with. Even when I was teaching, of course, math. Right. I used to always tell kids, like, here's the thing. You know how I give you homework, right? And I give you quizzes, right? And then there's finally a test, right? I said, so here it is for game day, right? This is how we're gonna break it down for you for sports, right? Practice. All that stuff, that is your homework. Same as your homework, right? Practice is your homework. You go on, you're going to practice, because that's what we do for homework. We're practicing, right? So that's why we don't grade as harsh on that, because we want you to try and do better, right? And then, like on Thursday morning, walk through, that's quiz day, right? Do you remember, right? Do you remember what we're going to do, right? And then on Friday, that's your test. So let me tell you, if you haven't done your homework and you didn't do well in that, then you turn around and you don't do well on quizzes, why do you think that I'm going to now put you in on test day? I'm not going to give you all the opportunity of this, because you show me that you can't produce.
So you can't
You show me. I mean, it translates back to the classroom. Any teacher will tell you, for the most part, you know what kids are going to do well and not going to do well on tests, because you can tell by what they've done all along. Even if you try to go back in and teach them stuff and do something, you already know.
Yeah.
And that's why we say it is a direct correlation of what you do in a classroom.
No doubt. Coach Claude, shout out Johnny Claude. He was awesome. Yeah. What are you doing at home?
Yeah.
Anytime I was ever asked like about work ethic, you know, where your work ethic come from? I'm like, dude, it's what was putting us at the crib.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice.
When the Maceo Senior didn't play the radio. And it was like, you either gonna do this or you not gonna do that.
Right.
And guess what? If you not the first one in, if you're not willing to outwork everybody, dude, you're gonna be an average Joe, and you're gonna be, and it's gonna follow you all through life. You're gonna be like, well, why I ain't get that break? Why I ain't get that break?
Yeah,
because you want to be average. You good with being in the middle.
Yeah, and that's what I tell my kids. I tell my kids the same way. I'm like, if you're okay with being average, then that's all right. But what I'm not gonna do is pay for average. I'm not gonna keep paying for all these sports. I like, my time is worth more than you being average. I'm sorry. No, you're gonna have to produce more than average. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's just these things are just it's easy to trace.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I learned, being an athlete, being a coach, just every day in life now. And you like just trace the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Coach Foster just said he hate to say it, but he said work ethic has been bred out of our kids. And so,
you know why?
This something you and I talk about. I think you use the term just to give me generation.
Man, let me tell you something. I can't even remember what somebody was talking about. They were like, we should just give the kids everything. I'm like, that's high school. Like, we don't just give out participation awards.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have done something. Like, that doesn't work like that anymore. Yeah, we're glad you're here. Yeah, we're glad you came. Glad you helped. But it's the give me generation. They want everything for nothing. And that's not how life works. I'm like, wait till y'all have to get out here and go on these job interviews and you on the 10th one and you still haven't gotten a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to be prepared for life. And I'm like, sports taught us life lessons. I don't care what anybody says. Participating in sports taught us so much about life, like how to persevere, how to to figure things out. Like, these kids think, because I'm here, I'm going to get it. No, sir. No, sir.
I hate that I told you so thing. We laugh about this all the time. And as you know, a lot of our kids, they're older now. They're out doing life things. And some you see, like the ones that are doing well, you like, well, I knew he was going to, do that. Then you see ones like I bumped into a couple of my guys probably a year ago. And at first they kind of look like they wanted to hide from me. But then they kind of like, man, what's up, coach? We just carry conversation. And I knew at some point they were going to hit me with the, man, coach, you were right about this thing, coach. Coach, you were right. You were right about this thing. I'm like, hey, man, listen, the game don't change.
Yep.
We just insert new names. Like, you will star for 4 years, you gone. Here come the next star. And then here come the next star. But the difference is, what are you going to do with your time? Are you going to make your time, are you going to cash in on your time? Are you going to be one of them guys, they like, oh, man, he was so talented, but he ain't do his schoolwork. It's just so many categories. And we all know, we can just plug. We've been around these kids so long. We can just plug them in. It's just crazy.
Yeah, Mason, I don't know. I think as parents, we have to start doing a better job. We've got to do a better job about having, focusing our kids on what matters most to them, right? Mm-hmm. What matters most in our families,
right?
So, and that meaning their education part, right?
Right.
And the sports part too, because sports does matter for a lot of us. Sports matters in my household. Mm-hmm. But just making sure kids understand that these are things you have to work for in life,
right?
What it takes to get to the next level, talking to them about those things, and making sure that we are pushing our kids to do those things and not letting them just sit in the house and settle, right? We got these kids, they like to be on a computer, they like to be playing video games or whatever, and so that's what they've become. Whereas we spend all of our time outside, right? So when it was time to go back to school, we were still in shape because we done ran the neighborhood and rode bikes.
You never got out of shape. And you worked on your skill set. You didn't know you were working on your skill set.
I used to race boys in the neighborhood up a hill. Like, why was I doing that? But, when it came time to go back to running track, I was ready to still run.
You already ready to run.
I have been running up and down the street like a fool, right? Or riding the bike.
Yeah.
And so I just think that we have this generation that has become, we want to stay inside in the air condition. And
you about to pass out.
So they get ready to come outside, and they've been sitting on the sofa for 2-3 months.
Drinking Fanta Orange.
Tahitian, whatever you want to call it, right? They've been sitting inside. And so I'm like, and parents, what are we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing to try and encourage our kids to do the right thing so that they can accomplish their goals?
Right. And to shout out to my cousin Stanley Carson, and like, this pandemic gives coaches a chance to see who is really disciplined enough to get it done. There are tons of talented folk. Mm-hmm. And like, you pick the place, and that's true. And like I say, my cousin, he was a lifetime military guy.
Okay.
And so I know he bumped into guys who you read about them, you heard about them. Now they're in the military. They was at such school, now they're in the military. And it's the
It's
discipline.
discipline. Yeah.
It's just the simple discipline, and if you don't have that, it's on the so far you're gonna go. You're gonna hit that ceiling at some point. And are you gonna get outworked? Are you cool with getting outworked?
Right.
But nothing burns me more than somebody who always hollering about, man, they this and that, and they don't have no. I'm like, no, you don't have a competitive bone in your body,
right?
You already ready. You ready to tap out, like, and you think you gonna take this to somebody college?
And that's the thing. They don't realize how disciplined they have to be once they get to college. I mean, you get that little bit of freedom in 9th grade, right? The freedom that you get in college, hell, it got me in trouble.
You really?
It got me in trouble. I was partying. So I'm like, nah, and I wasn't even playing sports anymore. So I'm like, I know. Right.
Let me tell you something. Sunny day in the AU Center, sitting on that wall. You close enough to the weight room, but you close enough to your car.
Right.
Weight room for me, because I know I can't tell Gwen and Maceo, about school. Yeah, I got kicked out of that.
I mean, my issue was, like, even at Georgia Southern, I was coming home every weekend. I didn't like being down there. There wasn't a mall. Don't get me started. Anyway, so I drove home every weekend. That's another story. I drove home every weekend, but I wasn't focused on my studies either, because I was too busy trying to get on the road on Friday after class to get back to Atlanta.
Right.
It's just, I wasn't even disciplined. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, like, I'm a regular student, right? I'm just down there. I'm on scholarship. We're not paying. That's fine. However, that got me in trouble trying to run up and down 16 to get back to the ATL soccer party with y'all in the AU on the weekends.
Focus. Hey, Co-Fall, this is a very interesting point right now. Those ghetto games were so important to you. Listen, in a day, I had Morgan laughing about this all day, and she liked to sit in the house all day and create whatever she be creating. In a day, we start out the morning, we play one hop. We leave one hop, we play kickball. Leave kickball, play throw up tackle. Mm-hmm. Go get some water off the side of the house, go to the candy lady, eat lunch. Afternoon, we back playing football. Mm-hmm. Oh, then we're gonna play 21 by the end of the day. And so we had this game in our neighborhood. My dude, Brandon Madby had he had some cement in the backyard of his basketball court.
Oh, that sounds like my house.
Right. So it was called Big Shot. You couldn't leave the backyard until you had to hit a shot off the pavement.
Oh, wow.
So you had to be, so it was like long threes. And Brandon's dad, and shout out to Mr. Madby. Mr. Madby wouldn't let you leave until you hit a shot.
I love it.
And it was so crazy because, like, you hit your shot, you be like, all right, I'm gone. But a lot of times we would sit around to add pressure to that person.
To the other people, right?
Hit that shot.
Right.
But
you ain't gonna make this shot. You gonna be out here all night.
All them little competitive games. I can't. It might have been our dude Rodale. Rodale might have been out there like all night one night. Yeah. Like our mama yelling, "But y'all get the house." We like Rodale ain't hit his shot yet.
And I was even a girly girl, and still went outside and would run, and I just do all kind of stuff. Riding the bike. I remember that's how I messed up my knees riding that bike, no hands around a curve. Flipped over. I was in somebody's front yard. Mm-mm.
So everybody, these listen. These are the basics of this recruiting thing, man. Like, hey, parents, athletes, man, get your mind right, man. I get this thing together. Which leads us to this next point that you and I talked about when it first developed, the good old transfer portal. When the transfer portal was introduced, we had this conversation.
Yep.
And we talked about how in 2 years, the transfer portal would change the face of college athletics. Because what the transfer portal has become is almost like free agency. Mm-hmm. And it's so many. I think I got the last number. Let me see if I kept it. But you and I talked about how when this transfer portal dropped, this is going to be a game changer because now you got this situation to where colleges, instead of trying to figure out what high school senior, incoming freshman can help my program, I can go in this portal and look at kids who got 2 years college experience, who are physically mature, mentally mature to come in and handle the rigors of what college athletics about. Just talk about the transfer portal one. Talk, because you was one of the people like, oh, this gonna change everything, right?
It has. You know, when I saw the transfer portal, and I was like, man. And then so there was some hiccups with it. And they were saying like you got to be able to gain the eligibility, you know, as soon as you transfer eligibility, right? So I was like, okay, that's gonna hold some people up, but I mean, for the most part, people have been able to transfer with no issues. For the most part, right?
No issue.
For the most part, people have been able to transfer with no issues. And so I'm like, for kids that are coming out of school, and as a college coach, especially this year, am I risking everything on a kid that I'm not sure about, or do I get a kid that has some stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, a coach has to make a decision. Sometimes they'll go with the younger kid because they feel like they have the time to develop them into exactly the player that they want them to be, right?
Right.
But sometimes they're going to take a lot of times they're going to take someone with experience, right?
Facts.
Because they know what they're potentially going to get. They know that they've been able to get there, stay there, right? Do the work, handle the discipline that it takes to be in college. And now they just want another experience. And so they're picking some of those kids up. It has made it crazier for those these high school kids to come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and then the number of, okay, so let's talk about the number of people in the transfer portal. It is ridiculous right now.
I think that last number I saw, I thought I had said that number, but the number was about it was over like 2,300 kids.
Yeah, it was over 2,000.
It's over 2,300. It's 2,300 kids, but only 225 kids have been offered or have been contacted. So it's just a lot of kids. Like say, that's only like maybe 3-4%. You the math major, maybe 10%, maybe of kids that have a destination. So I think a lot of time when parents, kids, they hear transfer portal, they like, okay, hey, I can go in and I'm gonna find me a home. Now, as Johnny say, it's re-recruiting.
Yeah,
it becomes a point to where hey, I went to the school, bad decision. Let me jump in the portal. And again, we've seen it. So the bigger the name, we talk about this all the time. So big name guys.
Mm-hmm.
Your Justin Fields, who like, hey, enter the portal, right back out the portal.
Mm-hmm.
It's
some people that get in the portal and get lost in the portal.
What?
And that's the honest truth of it. There are kids that go in that portal and never play another down of football. I hate to say that.
Which leads me to the fact that the guidance, the guidance part, and this goes back to kind of what we've been talking about. We have to take this thing so serious. You always talked about how we have to treat this like a business, and you have to have a plan, and we have to work our plan all the way through because listen, you may get the one shot, you may not get the second shot,
right?
To move on, and it depends on circumstance, depends on position. It's so many factors, and you just don't know. So you really need to make that first decision, the best decision to make. And one of your sayings, after my mama dropped me off, after my parents dropped me off, am I good to be here for 4 years by myself?
Yeah, that's what they better understand. I mean, that's why I say so a couple things. That part is really important. Can you survive at this school with or without sports, right? But
right.
Then here's the hard part for this year's kids. They haven't gotten to visit these campuses, so they don't know. They honestly don't know, right? They've done a lot of virtual stuff. A couple kids may have gotten to go on campus some kind of way, but for the most part, it's been let's do this virtual visit And that's what we're going to have for you, right? And so that's why I always said it was so important. If you're on vacation, go to all these schools and check them out. Drive through the campus. Let somebody know you're on campus. Drive through on a regular day when you're not even trying to figure out what's going on. Like,
right.
Anybody, and just see, I mean, could you survive here? Because you may drive by the doors and be like, I ain't staying. I'm not staying. Winter did that to us. I ain't gonna even lie. I ain't gonna tell you what school we drove by. When we went by, she said, so I'm not going here, right? And I said, well, they have a soccer team. And she said, and that's fine. They can have a soccer team, but I won't be on it. So I was like, bet.
Yeah. Kiara was like that. Kiara was like, hey.
You know what you want. You want what you want.
I love this school. Wait a minute. Those the dorms?
I ain't gonna do nothing.
Nah, I'm good with that.
I ain't gonna do nothing. I get it. I understand because that's me too. So I'm with Kiara and Windsor. But like these kids they're at such a disadvantage this year. They're not going to get these opportunities to go spend this time, go to a game, do all these things on these college campuses that kids in the past have had the opportunity to do that will help in their decision making.
Right.
And so like how do they know? How do they know that they like it? How do they know that they love it? Basically, right now they're married to a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
That may or may not be there 4 years.
I found that number. So this is just football. The 2021 transfer portal is 1,074 athletes in the portal. 28% have received scholarship offers. 72% of the kids do not have a home. So they are stuck in the transfer portal, waiting. And as we talked about with this pandemic,
about 300 kids have someplace to go.
Right.
300. That's that. So some of those kids may not play anymore right now, and that is a hard pill to swallow. And some of them didn't go into the portal. Don't get me wrong. Some of them did not go in the portal by choice. Some of them got forced.
No. Listen. No doubt about it.
Some people chose. Some people were forced. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of people that were forced may still be in there.
Without a doubt.
The choice people may have been able to get out.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a slippery slope because in one instance, you're kind of severing the tie that you have to the school that you're transferring from in hopes that, maybe you can develop a new relationship. Right. But trying to develop that new relationship, especially right now during this pandemic, is hard because dead periods are longer. You can't go on campus, so you're not
the longest dead period in ever.
Well, this dead period so long, it's Walking Dead long.
Man, like, geez. I don't know, Maceo. Like, I this whole year I've always said, man, I feel so bad for these kids graduating this year. You know what I'm saying? Like the class of 2020 got out because they had kind of signed before this hit.
Yeah. That they were pretty much done before, right? They were pretty much done. Yeah.
This class of 21 and maybe even 22, we just don't know what it's going to. We don't know. I mean, and some kids some people have gotten their full scholarships. They're good to go. And those, like I said, those are probably those Power 5 schools that could afford to finance, the scholarships.
Oh, yeah. They got money to blow. But
you got to think about the programs that ended up having to shut down their sports. And especially like Foster was saying, some of the Olympic sports, they got shut down. Schools pulled out on sports that were non-rev. And it's just not, I can't say it's not right, but it's not fair. And because these kids worked really hard, they thought that they were going to be able to go to school, and then the scholarships just aren't there.
Yeah.
Not there.
And it's tough because it's almost like, what do you tell a kid who has like worked out, like, this has just been the goal their entire life. Yeah. And now, hey, COVID, pandemic, this, you like, wait, and it's just like the MEAC has pretty much say we're not playing football in the spring. A lot of those schools that had plans to play in the spring, they pretty much said, like, you know what, the climate just not right for us to play.
It's not, to be
honest, wait till the fall. Resources.
Yeah, resources. It's still not. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they're gonna get in the same situation like I'm in with my basketball program right now, right? I wasn't able to let enough people in, right? Because of COVID. And here I am with a bill that's way over the amount of money that I made on my gate.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen to them. And they're going to, some schools will end up eating themselves into a hole that's going to take them a while to get out of, which in the end will end up cutting other sports because they're going to keep the sports that are going to make some revenue.
Right. And we saw that last year as schools has kind of started playing because they just didn't know how many fans we're gonna be able to have. What this? Right. Oh, okay, we not no fan. Okay, well, we're gonna cut out this sport, and this sport because we have to make sure the main thing stay intact.
Right.
And you know, again, Power 5 schools will be fine. TV contracts, shoe deals, all that stuff. But when we talk about the smaller schools, a lot of your lower level 1AAs. Your Division 2s. I mean, you almost like, and it was so funny. One of my partners, we were talking. He was like, "Well, that you know, the Ivies shut down." I said, "But this what y'all understand: the Ivies are not dependent on athletics
at all. At all. Listen, they got endowments, and they not work. They not.
If the Ivies wanted to play, they would have played. They could have easily played. But what they decided was, hey, why spend that money? Well, we can sit on it, let it do what it do, and then let's just see how this thing shakes out.
Yep.
And then move forward. Because, you know, everybody was in the kind of row where, you know, the NFL played. They got through their whole season. Well, y'all know how much money. Go look up how much money the NFL spent on COVID tests. They were testing these guys.
People and all that stuff.
But they have the means to do it. We're talking about high school. Mm-hmm. We talk about, like, say, Lord, it's just not feasible, and it's almost borderline suicidal. Think about if the SIAC had tried to play football.
Money wise, they just would have wiped themselves out.
Yeah, and see, like Coach Foster just said, you know, the Group of 5, the HBCUs and D2. I mean, they would have had an opportunity to get like some real good athletes, but they don't have the money. And we saw a lot of borderline kids who kind of had offers on tape, kind of about what you talked about earlier, with a lot of guys getting granted basically a free year. That bumped a lot of the middle of the road kids who usually these guys would get those scholarships to those. Mm-hmm. Well, now that coach like, well, you know what? I got this guy who been in my system 4 years. I got him for another year.
Yep.
To develop.
He's produced. So I'd rather keep him for that extra year.
This is something that we're going to continue to monitor. And, you know, parents, like I say, we're back. You know, like I say, I had that conversation yesterday.
I think for parents who are in this situation and are still looking for a home for their student athletes, I think one of the things that they really need to focus on now is reaching out to people and making sure they keep the lines of communication open. I think some people, you know, we've always talked about keeping the lines of communication open, but I think it's even more important now. Right. If there's somebody in your inbox, you better talk to them. Like, I don't care if you don't even want to go to school, at least just need to keep the line of communication open, because it may end up being an opportunity that you do want to take advantage of, even if it is temporary. If you want to go there for a year or two and then you want to transfer, don't turn that opportunity down, or don't let that opportunity pass you by because of the situation that we're in now.
Right.
And know that, you know, in the fall for at least Georgia, that was the last time you played.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, Coach Foster, NAI is up to. So because all the kids on social media, a lot of the coaches, you know, I talk to a lot of these coaches, and I see where they're posting like, "Hey, drop your film in my DM or this, drop your film under this link." If you don't have nothing on the table, every time you see that link, you need to be dropping your film, because that's probably gonna be where you end up, and that's gonna probably be one of the schools that's gonna give you an opportunity to continue your career, the way that's gonna allow you to get that degree.
Yeah, that's why yourself. Lines of communication open. reach out, even if someone has just even mentioned to your coach. Go ahead and reach out to them and say, hey, my coach mentioned that you asked about me. Send them the information. Send them your information.
Right.
Just make sure somebody proofreads what you're sending first. Don't send anything crazy.
Right.
I've seen some crazy stuff. Make sure that you get someone to look over it first. But reach out. Just keep your lines of communication open. Because if not, that opportunity may pass you by too, because you're waiting for something bigger and better. And it may not this may not be the year for that.
See, parents and athletes, shout out to Coach Cannon. Academics is even more important now. We done said that like 5 times. Why do y'all think we always throw that word academic around?
Coach Cannon know how I feel about academics.
That's the piece. Like a lot of times, that's gonna be the deciding fact between this kid and this kid. This kid is solid academically. Mm-hmm. I know I don't have to worry about him, and I don't have to. Oh Lord, hey, bring me your progress report. Or bring me the solid, academically sound kids. Coaches don't have no worry about it. We're trying to tell y'all, man, all this stuff works. It all come together.
Yeah. And like I said, figure out if your kid needs to be in person or, face to face or at home, because some kids cannot handle URL, I shouldn't call it URL, but they can't handle being online at their house because there's too many other distractions at home.
I'm just tell you this straight up, as laser focused and disciplined as I can be from time to time. I know I couldn't have did school from home.
I think I could have.
I couldn't have. Nope.
Winter's grade is better at home.
Wow. So but she died there. See, if I know
she's focused. She's focused.
That's what I'm saying. If I know I'm supposed to be sitting in front of the computer like in school, I got the TV right there. I got the refrigerator right there. I can go over there and stop. And it might be a couple of days out the week that my parents not home while I'm supposed to be virtually learning.
Yeah, that's her. She's here by herself.
She died in then. She died.
Well, she's always been focused. So I will give her credit for that. You got to know your kid, right? Because if I thought that she could not handle being at home, she would have to go to school. See, like that's point blank, she would have to go to school.
See, William could have did it because William kind of got that. My brother kind of got that in him, but he can dial in. Me soon as a song come on, I'm distracted. I'm like,
see, that's why you can't do all that. Any of that stuff, you got to be, during class time, you got to be focused. Like,
but I'm at the house. You mean I'm in my pajamas?
I mean, when it's time to take lunch, when all the other kids take lunch, that's when you go take lunch.
Why I'm gonna take lunch when
focus?
Why I'm gonna take lunch when I probably got like all the snacks sitting right here? So while I'm in school, I'm eating Doritos. I got my feet.
Oh, good. Yeah, we don't need you to go on and go to class.
I don't have to go to school, and plus I want everybody to see my outfit. You know what I'm saying? So you can't see my outfit if I'm at the crib. Like
my kids in uniform, so
yeah, that's that new thing.
But no, this is what Winter does. Let me show you. So she don't have to wear her uniform. I'm like,
oh, that's what she do.
She turned. She takes her camera. She gets a little focused just on the top part, and she don't put a uniform on.
See, she locked in.
Yeah, she needs some help, but her grades are better, so I'm not gonna bother her right now.
So everybody, this is the point of the show. We do it every Wednesday, so now we do it every Sunday. Wendy's Wisdom. Give us some words, Wendy. What you got for us today?
Hey, so we kind of already talked about it, but you know what, parents? I want you to start thinking about this and making some really important decisions. If your kid needs to be in school, try and send them back to school. Most schools will still take them back at this point. If they'll let you go back into the classroom if you really need to be there, and you can put up an argument for why your child needs to be there. So many kids are becoming ineligible for high school sports alone because they're not making the grade from home. There's no, as Basil said, there's not much focus at home. There may or may not be a parent at home to make sure that, the learning that is supposed to be occurring is going on. So if you know your child and you know your child cannot thrive in that type of environment, make the change for your child, because what's going to happen is now, come May or June, they're gonna have to try and figure out some summer school, and nobody wants to be in this environment and to have to be in summer school too. So make sure that you're giving them every opportunity to be successful and giving them the support that they need. Just like we give them support in sports, we want to give them support in academics because grades matter most. They matter the most. And I want to make sure that we give our kids an opportunity to be successful off of the field. So that's my first point. My second point is, I know we're in a pandemic, but know that at schools we're doing everything that we can to try and keep your kids safe. So if you want your kids to if your kid still wants to participate in a sport, allow them to. Barring that they don't have any underlying conditions or someone in your family doesn't have any underlying conditions that they come in contact with on a regular basis, try and let them, because they need that. They need that social interaction, especially if they have them at home. I think that's important. I think that's what has helped my kids. It's what has helped our family, as well as for us to even be able to show up at some of the sports and get out and see some people that we wouldn't normally see. Even though we stay a safe distance from them, but make sure that your kids are getting those opportunities. It's allowing them to still be in a social environment. There's no stresses usually in those environments, that they're just to perform. And it allows them to see some success, right? Outside of just doing work every day and sitting inside of a house.
Right.
So those are the 2 points that I really want to push out to parents right now and to kids. You know, if you know you're not doing well in at home and online, go back to school. Go back to school and to work, because everything is going to matter. And like I said, those 9th graders coming in, some of them have never been in a building.
Right.
They haven't been in a building since 8th grade, and they stopped in April?
Right.
It was March 13th.
It was March.
It was March 13th. They haven't been in a building since March 13th. You know, what is this doing? And so that's why I say it's really important that we make sure our kids are doing some type of socializing. You know, they're saying kids are having all these problems, and I haven't seen it with mine, luckily. But what I can say is I've kept them active. We've done stuff together as a family, and I made sure that they have been active in their sports. And I think that has given them something to look forward to outside of doing work and sitting in the house.
Great wisdom. I totally agree with all of that. Most definitely.
We have to make sure that our kids are healthy.
Yeah.
And not just physically healthy, like spiritually, mentally. We have to make sure all of those things are going well. And sometimes that means, you know, we don't feel comfortable with them going to school every day, but let's let them get into a sport. Let's let them do something, and just making sure that you taking your vitamins and doing those things. Elderberry has been great for us. I don't know if y'all know places to get you some homemade elderberry, not the store-bought kind, because it is different. Not
way different. You better go see them herb people.
You better go get you some homemade elderberry and get you a little swig every day. And that has helped us very healthy. And so I just encourage people to look into some of those methods to try it so that their kids can be healthy.
So we're going to close with this, Wendy. And seems like we do this every year. Seems like we do this every freaking year. So you watch the class in front of you struggle, go through things. Give the class of 2022, give them a head start. Give them some advice, Wendy.
You know what? Class of 2022, make your grades right now. Like, you're at home, if you're at home, but even if you're at school, I won't say that school is easier right now, but I just feel like if you can be focused, I think teachers are more willing to work with you right now because of the situation, right? So that means that you've got to at least try. So for the class of 22, keep your head up, keep working hard. Hopefully we'll be out of this situation. These scholarships will be back in order for you all. And these opportunities, even just not even scholarships, but the opportunities will be back available for you all. I mean, it's hard to get a job these days. So like, I'm just opportunities if that's what you want to go out and do.
Right.
Well, most of all, just keep focusing on your grades and keep making sure, like, if your coaches are having workouts or like strength and conditioning, go to those. Make sure, because if not, you're just sitting in your house. And so it makes it a lot difficult to just pick up on day one of a sport and go out there and run, and you're behind the 8 ball when it's time to start conditioning for the sport only, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing other things in the off season. So now's a good time to go out and get fresh air, It's a little chilly some days, but go out and get you some fresh air and find you some place to work out, even if it's at your school, working out with your coaches through strength and conditioning right now, or pick up another sport. We like multi-sport athletes. Pick up another sport and work on that sport right now. Look who's here.
What up, yo? That's my dog.
So just pick up another sport, maybe like track, which we've been telling you all to do anyway, right? And you can do that through school, or you can do that through an AAU program. But pick up another sport where you're outside, where you can feel more comfortable. Because I know it is hard, like basketball, these sports that are inside, it does seem a little more congested. You're a little more nervous about contracting COVID. I get it. Pick up an outside sport where you can just stay in shape for whatever it is your main sport. Even if track is your main sport, stay in shape for it.
Yeah. My biggest piece of advice for 2022, look at what's going on and better your situation. Put yourself in the best situation possible. I get sick and tired of us watching, the class before us and be like, oh, that ain't gonna happen to me. Oh, yeah, it can happen to you if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I like what you said. All these avenues, they say, get out the house. If you can't get to your school, there's a train on every corner, YouTube video, you got a backyard, you got a driveway, you got, you don't stay on no dirt road. Get out there on this pavement, get to move your body.
Yeah.
Listen, take this thing serious, man, because I don't want to hear the sob stories.
Yeah.
Come next year.
You got to be ready. So the thing is, you just sit in the house.
Yeah. Great first show. Welcome back. It's almost like
everybody.
It's like we never left. So everybody, every Sunday, 6 p.m. we're gonna do this. We're gonna bring y'all this information, man. I'm not getting cursed out anymore by parents. Mm-hmm. We sorry we left you. We back.
Yes, we're back.
We're back, everybody. So hey, next Sunday we'll do this again. Yeah, man.
Nice, y'all.
Y'all see what I'm saying? I take that. I will take that. As we sign off for Young Wendy, it's your boy, man. And go do some homework.
Right.
Everybody, we gone because I gotta go watch. I forgot what show come on today. I watch. What's today? Today's Sunday.
You don't even know what day of the week is.
It's ID channel for me. I watch murder all night. Murder. Hey man, we gone. Have a good week, Wendy. I'll probably talk to you about 3, 4, 5 times.
I know. You can come by to me. Come by and see me.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. Hey, we appreciate you, Manuel. We appreciate you, everybody. We gone.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace.